Hold the line! Battlefield has been MIA for the last 9 years. But thanks to your efforts, soldier, we won the great battle of 2042. We said no to shitty, unoptimized Battlefield games. Get that soldier a goddamn medic!
Sir, yes, sir. Go!
We said no to cringe inducing specialists. And we said hell no to Fortnite skins. Shit, I'm jammed. We fought for Battlefield's identity and brought down the tyranny that is EA by hitting them where it hurts most, right in the money sack.
EA sack. It's in the balls.
But this war is far from over, soldier. Call of Duty seeks to encroach upon Battlefield's territory and taint the sanctity of our beloved franchise. They've already gained ground with their open weapons, small corridor-led maps, and the removal of suppression. But we will not be suppressed. Calling all Battlefield fans to pick up your weapons. We've got a goddamn war to win. So squad up, soldier. Get ready to play objective and find out how you can become a part of history to save Battlefield from the clutches of Call of Duty.
Battlefield is back. It's a statement that's been sweeping the internet since Battlefield 6's launch. But is it really true? In a sense, yes, I do think Battlefield 6 has saved the Battlefield franchise. And by saved, I don't just mean from being put on ice, never to be seen again. No. There are far worse fates than that in the gaming industry. But Battlefield was this close to having its soul ripped out and replaced with Nicki Minaj.
Throw it back, baby.
Jesus, that thing is terrifying. Battlefield 5 in 2042 put the franchise on a trajectory heading straight towards the meat grinder, to be processed, shaped, and pressed into the cookie-cutter Fortnite template. But Battlefield 6 brought it back, baby, from the brink of losing its identity. Against all odds, a miracle happened. EA and Battlefield Studios actually played their role as a medic and revived a franchise many of us thought would be another casualty in the pursuit of exponential financial growth. Because we didn't accept the shit they served us and sent it straight back to the kitchen.
Dreadful.
How's the French onion?
It's like someone's pissed in my soup.
Well, that's not good.
And they came back with Battlefield 6. I'll be straight up, I've had a blast playing this game. It's a ton of fun and it does still retain the soul of Battlefield. But that doesn't mean it's perfect, and it certainly doesn't mean we should get complacent with its shortcomings and Call of Duty-centric deviations. Because while I do think Battlefield 6 is a great game, it needs a lot of work if it wants to be a great Battlefield game. You see, the problem is that this game doesn't exist in a vacuum, and the previous games have set extremely high expectations. Not those ones. And while it's a clear improvement over this, and is a step in the right direction in some aspects, Battlefield 6 still has huge glaring issues. Issues that need to be rectified before we can wholeheartedly say with our chest that Battlefield is back. But with a bit of tough love, I believe we can bring it back. But before we get into the issues, what does Battlefield 6 get right? Well, let's start with something Battlefield 6 nails. One of the most important aspects of any game. More important than its gameplay, its maps, progression, even monetization. The game actually runs smoothly on day one, with decent frame rates and stable servers. Holy shit, pigs do fly. We're having barbecue tonight, boys.
Yes, Grill Sergeant!
You see, unless you've been living under a rock, you know poorly optimized games have been a huge issue in the AAA space. And DICE, the studio that makes Battlefield games, is no exception. In fact, they're one of the worst offenders of this war crime. Just look at Battlefield 4. People still have PTSD from the launch of that game.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Battlefield 2042 was their latest offense. This game was legit an alpha build when it released. Buggy, unfinished, missing basic features. It was less of a game and more of an uncooked piece of chicken that gave people salmonella. We're having barbecue tonight, boys.
Yes, Grill Sergeant!
And while it was fun to point and laugh at this pile of doo-doo, it stopped being funny real quick if you bought this game for $70. So having all that context, I have to give credit where credit is due. Battlefield Studios and EA did good. No. Battlefield Studios and EA-ness did good. I can do this. EA did good. This may be the hardest video I've ever had to make. All jokes aside, we can't deny the fact that EA gave Battlefield Studios the necessary resources to make a functioning game on launch. They gave the green light to have all hands on deck and assigned 4 separate game studios under the umbrella of Battlefield Studios to create Battlefield 6. And it serves as proof that an optimized game at launch is possible if the development teams know what they're doing and are given enough time and resources to execute it. I will say though, even with 4 studios, it does feel like they tried to do too many things at once. A single player campaign, classic multiplayer with continual updates, Portal, Battle Royale. There's too much going on here and the game suffers for it. I would have preferred that they really refined things like progression, classes and maps in multiplayer before doing a BR mode. And we can't ignore the fact that hitrig is a huge problem right now, and it stops the game from being a truly smooth experience.
I already slid past the fucking truck a long time ago.
But despite all of that, I do still feel like I got my money's worth with this game at day one. It's almost as if they learned that rushing out an unfinished piece of shit might affect sales. The abysmal release of 2042 and its subsequent failure taught EA that, hey, maybe we should release a playable game. Just maybe. A content-rich and optimized experience are important factors to the success and longevity of a live service game like Battle. Oh, never mind, they just released Skate.
Footy is short for footage.
If you want to support the war effort and be a part of the best goddamn squad this country's ever seen, then repair that subscribe button and revive the thumbs up now, soldier. I also have a brand new Patreon for those truly dedicated to the cause. Link in the description. For the greater good of gaming.
There's a certain feeling you get when you play a good game. It's the feeling of being so immersed that you completely lose perception of time. It's that feeling of finishing a match, snapping out of that hypnotic state and realizing that it's far past your bedtime, mister. It's something that I haven't felt in a Battlefield game since Battlefield 1. And when Battlefield 6 is firing on all cylinders, well, let me just show you.
Sick. You a medic? Not anymore. Backflip. That's a hell of a way to go out.
Battlefield always nails a few things, and Battlefield 6 is no different. The gunplay feels amazing as always. Super crisp, great feedback, every weapon has weight and packs punch when you fire it. Sniping feels so damn good in this game. Getting those sweet, sweet headshots sends my dopamine levels through the fucking roof. Oh. But the MVP here is the sound design. I have to shout it out, it's too good not to. The crack of a sniper rifle echoing off the mountains, to the jets overhead breaking the sound barrier, to a helicopter crashing through the roof of a building.
Oh, sick.
It's all been masterfully sampled and balanced for maximum immersion.
It is fucking cool, bro.
All vehicles have been tuned to be more responsive and intuitive than ever before.
You're on my seat. That's right, EA. I also have a green screen. Now, before we go any further, in order to understand where Battlefield 6 retains its identity and where it doesn't, we need to know what defines a Battlefield game, what separates it from its competition and makes Battlefield, Battlefield. It all comes down to 3 core pillars: classes, squads, and large-scale all-out warfare. Now, these three things do vary slightly from title to title, but there are persistent through lines that they all have. Anything that makes you think Battlefield generally falls into one of these three buckets, and breaking down each one of them will reveal the overarching philosophy these core pillars feed into, the secret sauce that creates the Battlefield experience we all know and love. I'm excited about this one. Classes are the bread and butter of Battlefield, and the number one function they have is to give the player purpose. Everyone, no matter what class you play, has a vital role on the battlefield. Medics revive, engineers repair and destroy vehicles, recon spot enemy and cover from afar, assault pushes the front line and caps objectives. The class system provides depth beyond the shallow puddle of games like Call of Duty, where the only purpose is to get kills while looking like you're about to shit yourself trying to find a toilet.
On my way, diarrhea inbound. Where's the fucking toilet? I'm about to drop a nuke.
It requires that you lower your gun to help your fellow soldiers. There's a reason Battlefield games reward you more for playing your role well than getting a crazy KD ratio. Battlefield is all about the objective, and the class system is a core element in getting you to engage with that. This makes Battlefield way less sweaty and more enjoyable because you don't have to be on cocaine to have fun. Don't get me wrong, shooting and reflexes are still important, but you don't have to be that good at first-person shooters to do well in Battlefield. You can just focus on playing your role and your team will love you for it.
Light 'em up, boys. Holy shit! Look how many of them there are!
More than the sweat with a 10 KD ratio off on his own trying to get clips for their montage.
Alright, I'm taking these off.
Oh my god. I need my ears to breathe. To me, this makes the game feel way more approachable. Look, I'm not the spring chicken I once was.
Well, I suck. I fucking suck ass, bro.
I barely touch multiplayer games anymore, but I make an exception for Battlefield because I know I can have fun and make an impact without having the reflexes of Neo in the Matrix. And that's why I think Battlefield absolutely shits all over Call of Duty, among other reasons.
Bomb drones up! You dead, bitch!
The four classes create clear archetypes, four distinct ways to play that keep things fresh. Sick of Engineer? Switch to Support for a totally different experience. Each has their own strengths, weaknesses, gadgets, and dedicated weapons. I'm sure you're seeing where I'm going with this. A class like Recon dominates at long range, but gets destroyed by an assault in close quarters. And this makes sense, both from a gameplay and realism standpoint, given Battlefield wants you to feel like you're a part of an actual war zone. Battlefield 6 does get a lot of the class system right, but that's because they've remained unchanged from previous Battlefields. And here's where things start to fall apart, where the game contradicts what the classes are trying to do. The choice to open up the weapons to all classes is one of the biggest deviations Battlefield 6 makes and is extremely harmful to the class system. And yes, I know that they have a closed weapon mode, but the default is open weapons. The reason closed weapons matter is because they help separate and define each class. They ensure that no one class has it all, that there are drawbacks and benefits to each one. Without those trade-offs, players can just build the optimal class and loadout combos, which defeats the whole purpose of classes and encourages a more selfish playstyle. Plus, closed weapons just make sense. Of course the Recon class has a sniper rifle, of course the Assault class has an assault rifle. In the beta, they decided to take the respawn beacon off the Recon class and give it to the Assault class. But for what, when you can just equip a sniper as an assault? Here's a question for you. What's the most OP gadget in Battlefield 6? The shotgun? That's pretty busted. The stim? I don't think so. What about the repair tool? Nope. The most OP gadget in the game is the defibrillator by a fucking country mile.
Shot my dog, I can't stop. Yeah. Shot my dog until she drops. 2,000 volts straight in her top. Shock.
Seriously though, please nerf this. You should not be able to instantly revive an unlimited number of downed teammates. Not only is it completely busted, it also has a huge effect on the outcome of matches because most game modes have objectives that involve ticketing deaths and reviving cancels that out. A good medic can turn the tide of war and is definitely the most OP class, but one class should not have this much power and influence over the outcome of a match. And a fix would be simple. All you need to do is give the defibs a cooldown like other gadgets such as the drone, or only allow instant revives to work on your squad mates. That way it promotes more squad play. There are some serious balance changes, nerfs and buffs that need to happen to certain classes and gadgets. And while we're on the topic of gadgets, let's talk about progression. The challenges were clearly last minute homework. They just threw it together and said, fuck it, we're doing it live. Some of these are insane. You don't even have to play test them, which they probably didn't, to know how unreasonable they really are. They have updated challenges to be easier, but what the fuck were they thinking? I've seen people saying there were roadblocks put in place to sell boosters in the future so you can bypass them, but to be honest, this just seems like incompetence to me. But my main gripe with the progression isn't the ridiculous challenges themselves. It's the fact that they locked class-defining gadgets behind them, meaning you have to level up and perform monotonous tasks just to experience a class properly. Ain't nobody got time for that. One of the only squad-centric gadgets the Assault class has is the respawn beacon, and it's one of the last ones you unlock. But hey, at least you get a stem right off rip. One more thing that I'll just put here because it doesn't really fit anywhere else. Bring back suppression, like real suppression. If you don't know, suppression used to make bullets flying near you mess with your aim. It sounds small, but it deepens the combat experience, increases potential avenues of play, and makes sense from a realism perspective. If someone is shooting at you, then it's gonna mess with your focus. It also made LMGs way more viable and helped balance snipers.
And for Battlefield 6, we wanted to push destruction even further.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating. But I need this set for my YouTube video, so... Squads are the glue that holds Battlefield's class system and large-scale warfare together. On the surface, it seems pretty simple, and their impact on the game is quite subtle and understated, shaping the flow of a match by giving small teams of players direction amidst the unpredictable chaos of all-out warfare. So how do squads do this? Well, Battlefield wants you to stick together, to move as one cohesive unit, so it has mechanics in place to encourage that. First is that every squad has a squad leader, who gives orders and determines which flags to capture or defend. This gives everyone a unified goal. Squad mates can all revive each other, even if they aren't playing support. Which, by the way, the drag revive is incredible. It's created some of the best moments I've had in Battlefield 6.
It's so cool.
The only thing that would make it better is if the downed squad member could fire their secondary gun while being revived. That'll be sick. You can also spawn on your squad mates, which helps you stay together, get back into the action, and can sometimes be the deciding factor in capping a point or completing an objective. Alright, I'm done. I gotta take this off. It's too much. Commitment. Battlefield rewards this kind of behavior. Reviving, resupplying, spotting, spawning, completing squad orders. It all feeds into your squad score. It's a simple but effective way to reward players for actually playing the game the way it's meant to be played. If the gunplay is how you interact with your enemies, squads and classes are how you interact with your team. Again, this is all pretty basic stuff, but what's really important here is the effect that squads have on the player's mindset. Suddenly, you're not playing for yourself or your precious KD that people tie their self-worth to. And when you find that perfect squad that communicates, revives, and works together, well, that's when Battlefield shines the brightest. But it's also a double-edged sword, which brings me to one of the biggest problems Battlefield 6 has: the people who play it.
Because I can't get any kill streaks or anything like that, I like to go for clips. So basically, I'm not getting any clips by sitting on a flag and capping it. I'm just being honest. I'm not getting any clips by repairing my tank. I don't care.
Your experience in Battlefield 6 is hugely dependent on how the rest of the lobby plays. The game is built around teamwork and playing the objective, two words that aren't in the average COD player's vocabulary. The influx of new players treating this game like Call of Duty tangibly impacts how fun it is to play. Normally, I don't care how others play their games, but Battlefield is an exception I have to make. This is a multiplayer game that demands cooperation. If you care so much about getting the most kills and your KD ratio, then get the fuck out of Conquest and play Team Deathmatch.
People on TikTok is like, they be telling me like, yo, you're not resing anybody. Bro, they're down across the map. That ain't me. I'm not doing that. Oh shit, come on, get me, please. Please, teammate.
I got shotgun.
Medic, 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 medic! Medic!
The worst matches are the ones where everyone is playing for themselves. And conversely, the best matches are the ones where everyone works together. Stick together and play your role, soldier. Not understanding that we're stronger together is like some ape brain shit. One small thing I do want to add, can we please bring back the request order prompt from older Battlefields? If a squad leader wasn't placing orders, the game would hand leadership over to someone who would. In Battlefield 6, most squad leaders don't give orders at all, leaving squads directionless. I think the recommended orders is actually a bad addition because it largely goes ignored and means squad leaders don't assess the flow of battle and manually engage with the strategic decision of choosing a flag to cap or defend.
The year is 2027.
Dude, seriously, how do you keep getting back in here? How am I expected to work in these conditions? But what good are squads and classes if they don't have a proper sandbox to play in? And this is where large-scale warfare comes in. One of Battlefield's defining traits has always been its all-out warfare modes like Conquest. 64 players, massive maps, vehicles, infantry, destruction. It's what separates Battlefield from every other FPS. Maps are vital in any shooter, but especially in Battlefield. They're not just spaces to go pew, 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 pew. They give every class and vehicle space to shine, determine the flow and pacing, and create that beautiful, unpredictable chaos that Battlefield thrives on. But most importantly, they give the game scale. That feeling that you're just one soldier caught in the storm of war.
You're not a hero, you're not special, you're small, a nobody, nothing but a drop in the ocean when compared to the presence of a battlefield. But together, with your squad and your team, you could become something greater than any one individual could ever be.
That's where Battlefield moments are born. The maps are blank canvases that we collectively paint simultaneously, with every kill, every revive, and every death a story is created. And that's why large-scale warfare is essential. It's not just a spectacle, it's perspective. It's what makes the squads, the classes, and the chaos click together. So let's talk about the maps in Battlefield 6, because I think this is what's fueling the Call of Duty comparisons the most. What does it mean when people say it feels like Call of Duty? Is it really just map sizes? Because Battlefield has had smaller maps before and it's never been a problem. I really had to sit down and think about why these maps feel off, and I think I've figured it out. It all comes down to one thing: pacing. Traditionally, Battlefield's pacing moves like a wave. These peaks and troughs represent intense firefights broken up by quiet moments. These dips in the action is when you take the time to breathe, regroup, support, or travel to your next objective. That rhythm is crucial and creates much needed contrast to all the chaos. Don't get me wrong, chaos is important, but it needs to be in manageable doses, or else you just have no idea what the fuck is going on. If maps aren't made with pacing in mind, it just becomes one big clusterfuck. And that's where Battlefield 6 stumbles. Instead of having ebbs and flows, it's just a constant, unrelenting fast pace, which mirrors the exact pacing of another game we know. Smaller maps like Siege of Cairo and Arabian Offense tend to funnel you through tight lanes and choke points, cramming 64 players with barely any breathing room in between flags. The result is an extremely fast-paced, Call of Duty-like experience that leaves barely any room to breathe. You're either killing or being killed. This type of pacing contradicts the game's systems. It pushes players into a rushed mindset, which makes players less likely to think tactically and instead just run in and die. These maps also limit the recon and engineer classes because there's less open space to snipe and less vehicles on the battlefield to repair. But the problem here isn't just small maps. It's one of many contributing factors that dictate pacing. Topography, landmarks, flag positions, spawn locations, sightlines, flanking routes, destructibility, density, vehicles. All of these work together to determine how a battle feels. For example, Murak Valley is one of the largest maps in the game right now, and yet it still has pacing problems. Flag B and Flag D are extremely close to one another, and they're almost smack bang in the middle of the map. So naturally, these are the most contested flags. But the capable areas of these flags are inside buildings, almost completely shielded from the outside. So the busiest flags on this map essentially become self-contained miniature close quarters maps with multiple entrances, which ramps up the pacing and makes both attacking and defending extremely sweaty and disorientating. It also means vehicles and snipers are almost useless because these flags are unreachable to them. This wouldn't be a big issue if there weren't two of them, if they weren't right next to each other in the middle of the map, if they weren't enclosed and unreachable to vehicles. But it's the combination of these decisions that affect the map's pacing. Look, making maps isn't easy. I definitely don't envy that job. Every multiplayer game ever made has had their good maps and their bad maps, but they need to do better because the most important part of Battlefield is the battlefield. And I think it's telling that the best map in the game right now is a returning map from Battlefield 3. Don't get me wrong, I've still had those immersive, cinematic Battlefield moments, despite the maps, but that's more of a testament to how strong the core gameplay loop is here, and shows how much untapped potential this game really has if the maps were better. The good news is, this can be fixed. New maps are coming to the game and there's time to course correct. But the real question is, do Battlefield Studios and EA see this as a problem? Or are they just chasing that faster pacing on purpose to appeal to a wider audience? Because that'll decide whether Battlefield stays true to itself or loses its soul chasing a game it was never meant to be. So to recap the three core pillars. Classes give you purpose, squads give you collaborative direction, and all-out warfare gives you perspective and pacing. And honestly, Battlefield 6 does deliver on most of these, despite its shortcomings. Like I said at the start, it is a great game that I've had a blast playing. But everything I've criticized, the open weapons, the class balancing, the hit reg issues, suppression, missing squad features, inconsistent maps and pacing, it all holds the game back from what it could be. These issues might seem nitpicky, but I don't want to just settle and become complacent with a franchise that we love so much, because it can become a slippery slope, and if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Just look at Call of Duty. It's the perfect cautionary tale of what happens when a game forgoes its identity in exchange for money. It used to be a grounded military shooter at heart. Think back to games like Modern Warfare and Black Ops, and now look at what it's become.
Challenge pack when you pre-order now.
Essentially just a playable advertisement. Call of Duty is the runaway greenhouse effect of gaming, too successful for its own good, sucking up every scummy, manipulative, non-consumer practice known to the gaming industry.
Yo, you can get with this or you can die alone, it's up to you.
While shitting out the serious military tone we grew up playing. And now COD is so out of control, so far gone, that it's barely recognizable when compared to the games it was built on. And that could have been Battlefield, if fans had rolled over and bought into Battlefield 5 in 2042. But the beautiful thing is that we, the players, hold all the power. Battlefield 2042 taught EA that they couldn't just rush it out, that they can't put ridiculous skins in the game, and that they couldn't change one of the core pillars of Battlefield to support those ridiculous skins.
Don't be sad. This is just how it works out sometimes.
Right now, they're being super careful not to cross the line when it comes to skins, but they definitely are tiptoeing it. But it's a line that we're holding, soldier. Because they made a Monster Energy skin that the community thought didn't fit the game's military tone. And do you know what they did? They changed it. Why? Because we pushed back. We have EA by the balls right now, and I bet it's driving them nuts. And that's my point. The game has problems, but they're fixable, and it seems at the very least they're listening to the community and taking on feedback. As much as I could praise EA for finally getting it right, let's be real here. They don't give a shit about delivering a great game. To them, it's just a means to an end. Everything is put on a scale and weighed up, deciding whether their time, money, and resources will yield enough return to warrant investing in them.
Will this feature make money? Will it trend well? Will it appeal to a wider audience? Can we monetize it later?
This is why Battlefield 6 has issues, because EA's answers to those questions are bleeding into this game. It's why it's trying to appeal to the Call of Duty player base. It's why when Season 1 dropped, it felt like your ad blocker stopped working. And it's why Battle Royale exists, which, by the way, had the Battlefield community feeling like this.
You are going to be a general someday, go. Now, disassemble your weapon and continue.
Anyway, like I was saying, shrimp is the fruit of the sea. You can barbecue.
EA doesn't see games from a player's perspective. They just see patterns, trends, and data that affects their bottom line. The war against EA's greed never ceases. Everyone can feel them lurking in the shadows, ominously looming over Battlefield, watching and waiting for their moment to strike again.
If you have made it this far into the video, soldier, then you're most likely a big Battlefield fan.
Or maybe you're just here for little old me.
This is where you need to pay attention, because this is the most important part of this whole video, what it's all been building up to. So listen up, soldier.
The philosophy Battlefield's identity was built on is reflected and ingrained in its fans. Alone, we are weak, but together, we are strong. It's this mentality that saved Battlefield from 2042, and it's this mentality that can save Battlefield 6. The butterfly effect. It's the idea that small changes can lead to largely altered outcomes, where the beating wings of a butterfly can over time cause a tornado. And in Battlefield, we are those wings, the small changes that alter the entire course of a battle. A sniper picks off an enemy just before they can kill an engineer. That engineer goes on to repair a tank. That tank survives just long enough to destroy an enemy tank. And that provides an opportunity for a medic to revive enough teammates to capture a flag. And just like that, the tide turns. A simple revive, repair, spot, or kill might feel insignificant in the moment, but any one of them could be the catalyst that sparks a chain reaction of events that changes the flow of a match. And no one person can ever be the architect of all of that. No one person can know the entire story. Sure, you may have clutch moments that win the game, but how did you end up in that perfect position, right at that very moment? You got there because of the hundreds upon hundreds of compounding decisions that your team made before you ever got to that perfect position that led to victory. But as cheesy as it might sound, it's not about winning. It's about accomplishing something that you could only do with your comrades by your side. This continual support loop is where Battlefield moments are created. Your own stories, the pockets of memorable, one-of-a-kind situations that can never be replicated, are written in the beating wings of a butterfly. And that's how we'll bring Battlefield back. Or maybe it would all crash and burn, who the fuck knows. Anyway, to see how EA really did completely fuck a franchise, watch this skate video. Shout out to my mate Carl for lending me this gear. Shit made me look way more legit than I actually am. Also, my new Patreon is up, link in the description. I've got some sort of behind the scenes stuff for this video and more to come. Any support you can throw my way is greatly appreciated and helps me make more videos like this. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a war to win.